The territory of what is now the United States has been part of several countries throughout history. These include Native American and Pacific Island nations, the European colonial powers, and America's modern-day neighbors. Then, of course, there's the Confederate States of America, the losing southern side of the American Civil War. But there have also been quite a few other self-declared countries in what is now United States territory. The best known of these is probably the Republic of Texas, which declared independence from Mexico in 1836 and lasted for about a decade as an independent country, establishing diplomatic relations with the US and several European countries before being annexed by the US in 1845 and becoming the modern state of Texas. This was one of the flashpoints that started the Mexican-American War, which lasted from 1846 to 1848. During this war, a small group of Americans in Sonoma, California declared their own independence from Mexico as the California Republic, which lasted just 25 days before joining with the advancing U.S. Army. Though small and short-lived, the bear flag of the self-proclaimed country inspired the modern flag of the state of California. The family of countries that declared independence from Mexico before becoming part of the U.S. also has a forgotten middle child. This was the Republic of the Rio Grande, which declared independence from Mexico on January 17, 1840, and fought a rebellion for nearly a year before their ultimate defeat in November. While most of the claimed territory of the Republic of the Rio Grande now lies in Mexico, some of it, including the capital Laredo, was captured by the U.S. during the Mexican-American War and now forms the southern part of Texas. On the other side of the U.S. from the Mexican border is New England, which was home to another trio of self-proclaimed countries. In the first 60 years of American independence, the borders in New England weren't entirely settled. This led to 3 separate instances of a region that fell under the claims of 2 governments deciding it didn't like either one of them and declaring independence. The earliest case of this actually happened during the American Revolutionary War. The area now known as Vermont was disputed between New York and New Hampshire, and rather than submit to either of these claims, representatives from 28 Vermont towns declared independence in 1777. Soldiers from the Vermont Republic fought alongside the Americans in the Revolutionary War, and the nascent republic even minted its own coins, known as Vermont coppers. Eventually, New York agreed to settle its boundary with Vermont, and Vermont was admitted to the U.S. as the 14th state in 1791. The other 2 putative New England republics were the Republic of Indian Stream and the Republic of Madawaska, both of which were in disputed territories along the U.S.-Canada border in the 1820s and 1830s. Indian Stream was the result of an ambiguity in the 1783 Treaty of Paris that ended the American Revolutionary War. The boundary between the U.S. state of New Hampshire and the British province of Quebec was defined as the northwesternmost head of the Connecticut River, but the 2 sides didn't agree on which tributary of the Connecticut was the one described in the treaty. As a result, by the 1830s, a small area was being claimed by both sides, and most annoyingly, being taxed by both sides. To avoid paying double taxes, the residents declared independence as the Republic of Indian Stream, and remained that way for over 3 years until the Republic was invaded by New Hampshire and annexed, causing a bit of an international incident between the U.S. and Britain. Another border incident had occurred a few years earlier in 1827 when John Baker, an American resident of an area disputed between the U.S. state of Maine and the future Canadian province of New Brunswick, declared the town of Madawaska and its surroundings as an independent republic with the intention of being annexed by the state of Maine. Baker was arrested a couple of months later by the New Brunswick authorities. Eventually, these border disputes and others in the area led to both the US and UK marshalling local militias, but no fighting actually occurred, though 2 Canadian militiamen were attacked by bears. The disputes were mostly resolved by a treaty in 1842, with Indian Stream falling entirely within the US and Madawaska being split between the 2 countries. One final land dispute of the early United States was with the Spanish territory of Florida. This dispute led to 4 separate self-proclaimed countries: the state of Muskogee, the Republic of West Florida, the Republic of East Florida, and the Republic of the Floridas. The state of Muskogee was founded in 1799 by William Augustus Bowles. Bowles, born in Maryland, was a loyalist who fought against American independence. His state of Muskogee was an attempt to organize local Native American tribes like the Muskogee and Seminole to resist both the Americans and the Spanish. Though they had some military success initially, aided by the fact that the Spanish were busy fighting alongside revolutionary France and Europe, Muskogee was eventually defeated and Bowles was imprisoned in Havana, Cuba. West Florida was actually located in what are now the Florida parishes of Louisiana and had a flag suspiciously similar to that now used by Somalia. The West Floridians declared independence from Spain in September 1810 and managed to capture a small Spanish fort in Baton Rouge. The small republic was invaded by the U.S. in December, which claimed that the area was part of the Louisiana Purchase. The leaders of West Florida reluctantly surrendered to the Americans without bloodshed. The Republic of East Florida, on the other hand, was created with the express purpose of being annexed by the U.S. Around 300 men, mostly Americans from southern Georgia, entered neighboring Spanish Florida in March of 1812 and captured one town after another, declaring the region the Republic of East Florida. Then they surrendered the territory to a contingent of the American Army, who were acting without official permission from the American government. This effective unauthorized invasion was stopped by the US Congress once they realized it was happening to avoid starting a war with Spain. Finally, there's the Republic of the Floridas, created by Scottish military adventurer Gregor MacGregor, who captured Amelia Island in northeast Florida in June 1817 during the Latin American Wars of Independence. The Americans once again intervened, claiming that they were worried the island would be used as a base for smuggling. By December, the island was in American hands. MacGregor, for his part, would later become infamous for running a scam involving a fictional Central American country called Poye. So we have Mexican rebellions, New England border disputes, and a few Floridian fighters. Outside of these three categories, we have the Provisional Government of Oregon, where American settlers to the disputed Oregon country in the Pacific Northwest agreed to form a temporary government until the border dispute could be settled. There's the Trans-Oconee Republic in Georgia, where in 1794 American General Elijah Clark declared independence to try to stop the U.S. from returning land to the Creek Nation. Then there's also the Free State of Jones, which consisted of some local pro-Union forces in Jones County, Mississippi during the Civil War, and which became the subject of a film starring Matthew McConaughey. Some less serious independence claims include Rough and Ready, California, which claimed to secede for a few months in 1850 to avoid mining taxes, and the Conch Republic, which was formed when Key West jokingly seceded in 1982 to protest a highway checkpoint. Honorable mentions also go to the Mormon-led state of Deseret and to the Watauga Association in Tennessee, which formed governments without actually declaring independence as such. So from sea to shining sea, the United States has been home to some very strange little countries indeed. Hopefully this video has shed light on some of the odd bits of US history that led to these peculiar polities. And as always, thanks for watching.